Okay, we are currently live, and today we are going to be reviewing Attaining the Worlds Beyond, Chapter 31, A Seed of Altruism. A very interesting topic because when we started this book, the very first chapter, I remembered this was mentioned, the word altruism was mentioned, but now Lightman or Dr. Lightman is taking us into another level on the subject of the seed of altruism. I like the way this chapter started off because it says, how can a human being who was created with the quality of absolute egoism, who feels no desires other than itself, suddenly imagine itself feeling the desires of others? And in previous videos, I am mindful of some comments that I've received that says that people need to understand the broad spectrum of what we are discussing. So as part of the review, I just want to remind you, when you watch the video, there's always going to be a summary of this chapter. So please acquaint yourself with the summary and use the link to go to the relevant page where you can read the chapter yourself online if you do not have the book. It's free of charge online, so there's no problem there. But I want to kind of summarize some key pointer for this chapter. First of all, it started off telling us that we are egoistic by nature, yet we are expected to go beyond the boundary of our egoism to care for others. And that's what altruism actually means. Because without this quality of altruism, we would not ascend spiritually. In other words, when we talk about spirituality, we will not reach beyond the boundary of our material world if we do not have the quality of altruism. And so this is a point, this is a very serious question. How can someone who have this desire for itself and doesn't feel others suddenly feel the desires of others? How can I feel your desire when I am in my body and my body trapped me in a way that all I can feel is my own desire? And that's how the book started off. But then there was a secret that was revealed right immediately after the sentence or the question was asked. When the Creator created us, the Creator created egoism, but within it is the seed of altruism as well. So every human being have a seed of altruism. The problem is it could lie dormant in a person for many life cycles. So you could come through this life cycle and leave this life cycle, never awaken it. No wonder the word spiritual awakening is almost certainly used most times. And what Dr. Lightman is actually saying in this chapter is the Creator designed that seed purposefully to awaken an individual at some point, but they have to do their own part in the process. One of the steps that an individual have to make is to plant themselves in an environment where people yearn for this particular correction, because in our own special way, because we feel ourselves only, we will never be able to come out of egoism if we try to do it ourselves. So we need to find ourselves an environment where Kabbalah is taught. Kabbalah, by the way, some people think it's mysticism. I want to kind of demystify that immediately. Please do your own research. It is a study of how a human being can change their quality to become a quality of love towards others. And that process involves studying Kabbalistic books because it does teach us how to do it that way. You cannot do this by yourself just by religion, because religion doesn't go into how to change the heart of a person to change from egoism into altruism. And that's where this book sits. So I'm going to pass you on to Francis. What's your take on the subject of the seed of altruism? as written by Dr. Lightman.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. That is really pivotal where you took us to about planting oneself in the right environment. And again, I will mention that Dr. Lightman at that point mentions that a beginner has to protect this seed. As she said, it's a seed of altruism that is buried deep in all of us. But a person, out of his or himself does not come to activate this seed. There comes a time when the Creator or God, or call it whatever you like, puts one's hand on a good fortune. And as Sheila said, the word spiritual awakening happens to a person. That person has to associate himself with a group that are like minded. He needs a teacher, and he needs sources like books or Kabbalah books, like what Sheila was talking about as being online. This book is online to be access free. So you need those materials to protect the seed of altruism and grow it in that environment. And also, he said, at that juncture, a person also has to protect himself from people who are not like-minded, who say things that cripples one's spiritual growth, prevents one from ascending the ranks of the ladder, of growing one's seed of altruism. So it is crucial. I think the first step is knowing that even though as egoistic as we are, I see myself more than 1000% an egoist. But it is encouraging that within us is buried the seed of altruism. And this seed has the potential and the power in the right environment to grow so that a person can change from the way he's created into the way the Creator wants him to become almost like the Creator. And then he says that this is not about our upbringing. Our upbringing is the natural way, calculations, according to human calculations, the common denominator, which is also egoism. But this goes beyond our upbringing. What we're talking about, altruism, goes beyond our upbringing. I think at this juncture, I will turn over to Tuso to take it over. Take it away, Tuso.
Thanks, Francis. Indeed, we are all born uh, into egoistic desires, and the seed has been planted ever since the beginning of time. The other name of the seed, we call it the point in the heart. And the listener might be asking themselves, how do I know that this seed is beginning to awaken in me, since everyone has got this seed? Well, by your desires, by the questions such as, what is the meaning of my life? What am I doing in this world? What is the point of life? When this question begin to come at you and you cannot get rid of them, then that means that seed is beginning to sprout. And that's when, as Francis said, you need the right conditions, the right environment to nurture this seed of altruism to begin to grow. And that's where now the group and people with similar seed sprouting and the teacher come into play. That's where we begin to start to nurture this seed by reading the source texts and following a certain simple procedure that it has been done since all the way from the time of Adam. So this chapter of the seed, it's actually what within each and every one of us, and we need to constantly grow it and nurture it. The questions of the meaning of life come to everyone at a certain point, but most people at a young age, they hide this question. It just disappears under the covers of egoistic desires and pleasures and so forth. But the second time when it comes, There is no way that we can hide this question, because it comes so strong that we'll feel totally empty. You can be a billionaire, you can have all the things in the world, doesn't really matter. Once it's awakened, uh, only the fulfillment of it by answering these questions will satisfy it, or will quench it. So every one of us has it. We don't have to wait for it to awaken. We can awaken it by ourselves by joining the right environment. Godfred? Godfred, are you there?
Godfrey, are you there? I think he's frozen. Okay, I'll take it over then. I think Godfrey's frozen. So we've talked about importance of environment. We talked about the fact that the seed is embedded within us, and I like the fact that Suso has also elaborated on the practical side of it, how this really happens in reality, because that just reminded me when I used to be like a very fervent church leader, you name it. I was in all the different ministries, always in my church environment, because that's how I grew up. But I will never forget what happened to me in 2009. And I think at that time, it was 2008 when I'd already been nominated to be a leader. And I was now given a group where we were going down the training of leadership. And I had this strong urge not to do it. And I couldn't understand. I remember going up to the pastor, as we called them in the church at the time, and I said, I don't want to be the leader. I want to be the deputy leader. And he looked at me very strangely. And the reason why I didn't want to be the leader, because there was something inside me that I did not feel that leadership will answer. I did not think the teaching I was given at the time was the right teaching, and I did not believe I wanted to promote that teaching to others, because I still have questions. And I became the deputy, and then I still have lots and lots of questions. And eventually, 2009, I left completely. I just left. And everybody was asking, why did you leave? I said, I have questions. And funny enough, 2010, I stumbled on Kabbalah for the first time. And I saw Dr. Lightman for the first time. I never knew that at some point down the line, I was going to be directed to him again to be a teacher. So the questions that I was having at the time was exactly that. I wanted answer to what is the purpose of my life. I spent too many time in books and I couldn't understand it. So this chapter really is it kind of resonate with me, because there comes a time when you have exhausted all different avenues and you still feel a sense of emptiness and you're looking for something. And it's as though that is, if you're watching this and you are in that particular realm of your life, because everybody is going to get to this point anyway. It's only a matter of time. It might not be this lifetime, it might be another lifetime, but you will get there. And at that point, nothing that is given to you, in fact, you will give up all your money in the bank just so that you get this answer, what is the purpose of your life? Because nothing becomes important to you at that point. And this chapter says, and this is the point where you need to plant yourself in an environment and remove yourself from people who have a different philosophy. Because as long as the philosophy is the philosophy of I need to measure everything, I need to gain from everything that I do, I need to calculate what's in it for me, that philosophy will not work to take you to the path of altruism, because altruism demands you walking in faith above reason. It demands you annulling and restricting all the thoughts, because when the body, and I like the way it also said that the body, and the body here is our desire, not our physical body. Our desires are so strongly rooted in our egoistic thoughts.
Mhm.
And when it comes in such a very strong way, you just have to fall for it. It's basically just take over your life. It's almost like a machine that just take over your life. You will not be able to think anything other than for yourself.
Mhm.
But what Dr. Lightman says is that the only way out is for you to remove yourself from environments that nurture and feed egoism and plant yourself in an environment that nurtures and feeds altruistic thoughts.
Yeah.
Because when you are in a different environment, until you got to that point where you are strong enough in that belief that this is the right path, you should really restrict yourself. And it's funny. This is funny because most times people are trying to do spirituality and still stay in corporeality. And
Yeah.
when they don't make progress, they say, oh, it doesn't work. Well, it won't work because you spend 50 years of your life in egoism
Mhm.
and you're trying to start with a new system of altruism and you're trying to mix the two up. And I think a great teacher once said, you cannot mix new wine and old wine skin
Mhm.
together. That's precisely what it means.
Right.
You have to get rid of the old if you want to start a new
Yeah.
one. And
Yeah.
so, if you are out there thinking, why is spirituality not working for me? Well, it's about time for you to plant yourself exclusively in an environment where altruism is all you are going to be thinking about. And the only exception will be when you go to your job or when you go and buy your food, or when
Mhm.
you do your basic thing, but let all the remaining hours of your time be
Mhm.
devoted in altruism study. Then you will begin to see a change in your life. So, with that, we're going to wrap up until next week. And I wish you all the best. And it's a pity that Godfrey dropped off, I think, internet problem. But thank you very much for watching. And thank you very much for liking and sharing our videos. Thank you.